Hey everybody, Michael Snyder here, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is May 5th, and right now we're looking at the satellite imagery. You guys may wonder where I am. I am the passenger in a car right now. We're heading towards the Oklahoma border. We're going on into Kansas today to chase some storms out here across the Great Plains. But anyway, back to the weather in the Pacific Northwest. Pretty rainy day on tap here as we continue to deal with this troughing coming up. Pretty much done with the dynamic thunderstorms. I saw all the nice images there as I was flying out of Seattle for Dallas the other day. It looked pretty nice. Some nice high-based convection out there, nice lightning strikes. So yeah, I kind of missed out on that, but I'm glad you guys got to enjoy that one. So we're going to be dealing with this troughing coming up for a while. Then we have some potential for warming up here towards the end of the forecast period. We'll look at that here in some detail. This is National Weather Service Spokane. You can see the cool and wet, much different from what's been going on over there. It was, we're having a pretty big drop off here in temperatures, and there is some impact for some local flooding as well as we continue with the snow melt and this precipitation ongoing. Now here we're looking at the GFS. You can clearly see this is North America. There's Washington, Oregon, California there. If you look near that troughing on the west coast of North America, I can't point it out since I don't have my mouse here on the road. But you'll see that troughing kind of continue across the west coast there. Another storm system moves in towards Northern California, Southern Oregon. But then watch what happens. That Gulf of Alaska troughing gets going there, and you can see the retrograde process. And look at that ridge build over the Pacific Northwest there. Pretty impressive on some of the model runs. So there is the potential for a fairly significant warm up here. Don't want to call it a heat wave just yet, but there's a potential for it as we move on in towards mid-May here coming up. And you can see that kind of a prolonged ridge look here on the GFS. This is looking at lightning flash density potential, and I'm just kind of showing you we do still have some potential for thunderstorms across the higher terrain of BC, maybe on in through eastern Oregon, Idaho, Washington, Montana, but nothing like what we have been getting the past previous days. But as we go through this weekend here, we bring another storm system in towards California as we go into Monday, and you'll see some of that increase in activity. Probably not anything like what we recently had, but we could bring that thunderstorm threat back in on towards early next week. This is looking at 48-hour precipitation totals. You can see Seattle about 7/10. Look at some of northwest Montana, all the way up through the northern Idaho Panhandle into eastern BC, extreme northeast Washington with pretty good rainfall amounts. Across the Blue Mountains as well. Some of the Cascades getting some pretty decent totals here with this troughing over the region now. This is day one. You can see thunderstorm potential here does include some of eastern Oregon, Washington, Idaho, and Montana. And you can see the yellow dots here across some of the plains. I'm chasing that most northerly one here through Kansas, Colorado, and Nebraska. So here's the European. I put that into motion. You can see the pretty rainy day as you go through the afternoon today. Some snowfall for some of the very higher terrain, but that's going to continue with some of that flooding here, especially east of the Cascades with that snow melt. You'll see the next system kind of diving into southern Oregon and California as we go through the day Monday there and bring precipitation, spread it northward. Slight chance of a thunderstorm with that as well. And you can see the troughing kind of hang on here, but then we start to change up here. There is still some disagreement between the European and the GFS as we go on in towards mid-May, but they both show some ridging and a potential warm-up coming. More on that here starting now. You can see the European extended forecast and the gradual warm-up as we start to go through mid-May there, just showing some upper 70s. It's a pretty significant warm-up, but watch now what the GFS shows. And, take this with a grain of salt right here. The first day ever at SeaTac for 90-degree temperatures is May 17th. And I believe that was 2008, I want to say, but I'm not positive on that. But I know that it's May 17th. But you can see that 95-degree day there on May 16th. But again, purely fantasy at this point. We're just kind of highlighting the potential for this warm-up. This is looking at the European ensemble members. You can see all 50 of them here, and you can see the warm-up coming as we go on in through mid-May. Some of these members have temperatures up into the 80-degree region here, and maybe even up towards the upper 80s on some of these outliers there. But you see the general trend for that warming spell as we go through mid-May. This is looking at Seattle-Tacoma International Airport. You see the system we're dealing with here through this weekend. And then you'll see kind of the hit and miss nature. And then the next systems that rolls through on Monday, you can see a little bit of a bump there as we go through Monday night into Tuesday. This is looking at 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. The National Weather Service is picking up on that potential heat wave. This goes through May 12th through 18th there. And you can see that bullseye right there on the Pacific Northwest. This is 8 to 14 day precipitation outlook. We're getting generally pretty dry this time of year, so we should dry out a little bit here across Pacific Northwest as well. This was issued April 30th, monthly temperature outlook. I haven't showed this one over the last few days either, but you can see the bullseye here across Pacific Northwest as we go through the month of May. This is weeks 3 to 4, and kind of the similar signal there. This is the 8 to 14 day hazards outlook, and you can kind of see the potential for some flooding, mainly Cascades East, again with those river rises. Nothing too extreme there, but it can be, you know, there can be some nuisance flooding out there, and you can see that extend all the way down to California, Nevada, Idaho, down in towards Wyoming and Utah even. This is looking at the drought monitor. We are away from that exceptional drought across the eastern portions of Oregon. We do still have some extreme drought out there, but hopefully we can still improve on that. That system moving in Monday should really help places like eastern Oregon maybe quench some of this drought. But anyway, yeah, on the road here on the passenger seat, I think we just entered Oklahoma, or we're about to, or we're kind of skirting the border here. We're headed northbound. We may go through the Texas Panhandle actually, so we'll go through the Oklahoma Panhandle up in through Kansas there. So long drive today, but hopefully it pays off with a nice storm as we go on in towards this evening. And I'll be chasing out here probably over the next week at least, and I'll be doing these briefings hopefully every day. I might skip a day here or there. Did not do a briefing yesterday, but anyway, I hope you guys are having a good day out there. I will talk to you guys tomorrow, and I'll see you then.